Hello and welcome to Cutting Words. I'm Brad Thompson and today I'd like to talk to you about the Dungeon Master Challenge, specifically where it all began, the trap. The first challenge for the Dungeon Master Challenge was the open entry where there was over 600 people had to design and submit a complex trap. It had to have a narrative element to it, and yeah, that was basically it. 1,000 word limit, submit it, hope for the best. And from that, my trap was selected to be one of the top 10 to proceed onwards for the rest of the challenge.
Hello and welcome to the Dungeon Master Challenge. I'm your host, Elo Silly Wood. Now, last weekend during D&D Live presented by G4, we announced our 10 fantastic finalists whose complex trap designs from stage 1 snared the hearts of our review committee and captured their place in our top 10.
So we're going to start off looking at the trap today and how we went about designing it. Okay, so for my trap, first things first, when I was thinking about designing my entry was, okay, so it says need a trap with a narrative element. Okay, trap with a story, interesting, but not impossible. But also they mentioned referring to the complex trap designs in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So I had a look at that. As always, look at the examples. An example makes things so much easier. So looked at the over the traps given there, and I noticed they have a little paragraph at the front, kind of setting the scene of this trap, the story of the trap. It's like perfect. All right, so that's where my narrative's going to go, and got the overall layout of what needed to be in a complex trap, what made a trap complex. So examples very helpful. All right, then it came to the trap itself. So there's two ways you can go about design. You can either start with mechanics, come up with like some interesting mechanics you want to do, and then kind of slap a theme, a story on top that kind of fits the mechanics you come up with. So you can start designing the kind of rules and mechanics for the trap and then slap a story on afterwards, or you can start with the story and kind of theme of what you're going for and come up with mechanics that fit into it. So there's kind of two pathways to designing game elements. In the past, I've favored the designing mechanics first and then slap a story on afterwards, much like I did that with my card game Granny Wars. Started off themeless and the Granny theme came later. But in more recent years, my designs have been more and more flavor, theme, story first, and then mechanics kind of that flowed down from there. So with this trap, I went, okay, what's a cool theme for a trap? And when I think of traps, the first thing I think of is kobolds. I just love those kobold little artificers or gadgeteers, and they kind of tinkering away, and they make these ridiculous contraptions that like should not work, but they do, and it's just ridiculous. So I just loved the idea. Okay, a kobold trap, a complex trap designed by kobolds. Okay, all right. I also like the idea of just very low budget trap, a very mundane, low budget, no magic kind of trap that was somehow just devastating. It's like, what is this? I can't use dispel magic, doesn't work. What is this? It's just a mundane. What do you mean, just mundane things? What? It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, okay. So I kind of had the idea for my trap that eventually became Room of Beads. So Room of Beads, my complex trap here, for levels 5 to 10, and is a dangerous threat. Because that, why not? This like a trap that can be underestimated, but it can be quite devastating and extremely mundane, which amused me to no end. So first I come up with the theme. All right, why these kobolds built this trap? Well, naturally, working for a dragon. Okay, what's a dragon story? But also don't want to eat too much word count here, because I have 1,000 words for this whole trap. But we still want some cool narrative story beats that require not many words that kind of lead into seeds to plot threads that someone could take and expand on, kind of help inspire some initial ideas. So I had a dragon, Belzerineth, and this dragon, this ancient dragon, was a consort of Tiamat, because always was fascinated by stories of the Dragon Queen, the evil dragon goddess Tiamat, with who had a bunch of consorts. I think one consort of each draconic color of the chromatics. So this is a spurned lover of hers. Sure, it's interesting. Kind of evokes some imagination there. Why was spurned? Why is thinking revenge? For being spurned. It rejects Tiamat, rejects someone else. Who blames for this? Who knows? Doesn't matter. Just a throwaway line there that's kind of invokes the imagination that someone could take and expand on. But it's enough to kind of set the scene for this trap. So this is his lair. He doesn't want to be disturbed, and so his kobolds have set to work building this trap to stop people getting into his chambers. So got the into the room. Had to go. Don't want to be too crazy big here. So with a reasonable sized room here to get through. Because it gets a little too ridiculous if the room gets too big. Because for the rest of the trap that goes off that. Now the big thing, which is clues in the name, the big element of this trap, the most showy part, is the most mundane part, is this whole room, this whole chamber is filled with dangling beads. So strings of beads, much like akin to those beads that people hang over doorways sometimes. You have to walk through the curtain beads. But it's that, but filled the whole room. Whole room is these dangling beads, all these different shiny baubles that kobolds collect and showing off, as well as little bells and things that make noises, kind of ding-ding-ling. It's just a glittering nightmare of these shining beads, which has always been an idea that's amused me for quite some time. And a room that's filled with dangling beads, so technically there is no empty space available for someone to teleport into, or if they were incorporeal and need to manifest back to corporeal form, there's no empty space here. You can pass through it, you can walk through the space, but there's no empty space here to be able to enter in by other means. It's just such a mundane foil to a lot of the effects that just amuse me to no end, as well as just being noisy trying to sneak through it as well. It's just all beads, mate. You go walk through here, you can make a lot of noises. Okay. Can't see through it because there's just beads everywhere. You can destroy the beads, sure. That's going to make a lot of noises. Anyway, it's there's a lot of it makes things very problematic. Just being a room full of beads. It amused me to no end. And it seemed very kobold as well. So these kobolds have filled the room with dangling beads. Which help disguise their kind of main trap features, because the beads by themselves aren't dangerous. Though alerting guards and things is. But we can look at ourselves. So that's the main description of the room, as well as there is a little inscription, a little Easter egg, that if players spot it, hinting that this is a trap. The engineer of this trap, the chief kobold engineer, Kiz, makes the best traps. He's made a little note there that people might spot. A little extra Easter egg. Anyway, so that's kind of set the scene for the trap. Then we have the trigger for the trap. So you go in there. As soon as a noise is made, typically from these jingling bells hanging off these beads, it awakens giant rats in cages and kind of these giant running wheels in a secret side chamber that then starts, as they run, it starts powering through a series of gears and whatnot, gadgeteering. These spears start jutting out of the walls. So again, no magic here, just all mundane, just these rats running in wheels in a side chamber that heard the noise. Okay. And so that starts happening. So initially count 20, the spears go through, and basically there's an attack roll on these spears to hit everyone in this chamber. And because the spears cannot be seen, because the players are surrounded by beads, this curtain of beads they cannot see through, they get attacked with advantage by these spears, and it just do just a little bit of damage, 2d6. Nothing huge here, nothing to worry about for a dangerous trap. More of an annoyance, really. But it's just the appetizer. So yes, they're currently lost in this room of beads with spears stabbing at them. Okay, all right. Then at initial count 10, these spears that have jutted through smash against vials of alchemical gases that are attached to the opposite wall to the spears. So they shoot through, hitting players that get in their way. Otherwise, they carry on through and smash glass bottles and release random alchemical gas. So I've got a random table to roll on that creates various effects, some damaging, some causing players to get basically put to sleep or get stuck in this trap for more rounds, unable to get through. Which is, getting out of this trap is problematic because yeah, the gases stall you there. The beads are difficult terrain because it's hard work moving through all these beads, bloody hell. As well as if you run through the trap room, because you can't see, you run through and you hit a wall. The exit is actually not just running right through. You actually need to find a rope that's amongst these dangling beads to then climb up to the chamber above. This little hole at the top, which they can't see. And so, yeah, it is not, you can't just run through it. Go, oh, let's run through it. It's, yeah, the exit out of the trap is also a bit of a puzzle as well. Just need to spot that with an investigation check when nearby it. So extra dynamic elements here as well for this complex trap. So every round, initially count 10 when our chemical gases are released, an additional one is released. So you roll a second. So for round 1, your 1 gas released and then clears. Round 2, 2 gases are released and then clears. Round 3, 3 gases are released and then clears, etc., etc. And it keeps escalating and escalating. That's where this trap gets quite deadly. And all throughout, they're stuck on these hanging beads. And they can't see what's going on. They're not 100% sure what's happening. They can't see through these beads. There's gas coming out. It's stabbed by spears. They can't find the exit. Will help successfully investigating these checks. I mean, you could destroy the hanging beads, but that will definitely make a lot of noise. If they made a lot of noise already. And also potentially destroy the rope to that leaves this chamber, in which case you'll have to spend more resources to either reattach a new rope, fly on up through a hole, or what have you, have some means to get up to the next chamber. So the trap's not here to be 100% lethal. It is here to expend resources and stall intruders and alert the kobolds to any intruders, which does its job. Most traps aren't viable proof. I mean, you know, someone throws this explosive spell at things or generally destroy things, and this trap will, you know, be, you know, destroyed. They can destroy the beads, the bead curtains there, but then the spears will just still shoot out though. I mean, they released all the gas from the explosion potentially, noises we made, and then they'll figure out a new way of getting out of this room. It's not great. It's not an instant solve. So countermeasures for the trap. It is possible to stealth or use silence or what have you to get through the beads without triggering it. Very difficult, but it's possible. Obviously, it's designed for kobolds who live here, so the kobolds can more easily slip through, but any creatures that are not kobold-sized will have a harder time slipping through. Makes sense. There's a trap designed like, you know, those weird traps that people in people's living room were like, why is this in someone's living room? Wouldn't they trip over this all the time when they're at home? How annoying. So this trap's kind of designed with that in mind. These kobolds, you know, they design this trap so they can still traverse through it without triggering it every other day. I mean, it's probably still the odd unlucky kobold, but kobolds, they don't mind. Dime a dozen. Oh, lost another one. Oh, well. So yes, as well as the spears can be disabled by, you can grab the spears and yank them out, break them, jam them up with these tools, you know, or just quieten everything down, put the rats back to sleep again. turn off the spares. And when the spares aren't breaking vials of alchemical gas, release their chemical gases, then, well, no more gases will trigger either. So if you stop the spares, you stop the gas. Easy peasy. As well as, it is gas, so if people hold their breath, they can get an advantage on any saving throws against the gases. Yeah, seems very reasonable. So yeah, and that's basically the trap. Room of Beads. This mundane, ridiculous trap, very kobold. Starting off with that theme, so alright, cool, need a narration story here. Okay, a dragon, there must not be disturbed while it plots its revenge. That's being spurned by Tiamat. Sounds fantastic. And got these kobolds making a ridiculous trap, very mundane, yet tricky. And what is this? So yeah, that's it. And it got me through to top 10. So I guess it's pretty good. You can actually pick this trap up. So the submitted trap I did for the Dungeon Master Challenge wasn't as pretty as the one I'm showing you here. My mate Darian, he did some great artwork for me here to pretty this up, and it is now up on DMsGuild. So it's Dungeon Masters Guild, DMsGuild.com. There'll be a link in the description below. You can pick this up for free. Pay what you want. I mean, you can pay money if you want to pay me some money. I appreciate that. That does increase the ranking of this on DMsGuild, I believe, the metal rankings and things, if you pay money. But by all means, pay what you want. And yeah, have a look for yourself. And that's feel free to modify this and stick this in your adventures. See how players handle themselves against the deadly Room of Beads. All right, and until next time, I'm Brad Thompson. This has been Cutting Words. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel, and you get notified when my videos come out. There'll be a few more Dungeon Master Challenge videos coming out over the coming weeks. Should we don't get too held up with Strixhaven. So there'll be a lot of Strixhaven videos coming soon too, I imagine, when that book comes out very soon. So yes, until next time, see ya.